Hi, and welcome back to the Gaily Digest. This week, I'm Nigel.
And I'm Joshua.
Welcome back, Joshua. How have you been this week?
Enjoying the weather. For once, I'm not cold. It's a miracle.
The weather has been great, to be fair. Sunshine, blue skies, and it has been an utter joy. Um, we've got a bit of a packed show for everyone this week. We have got our usual complaints closet. We've got our news. We're going to be in conversation where we're going to be talking about some coming out stories, aren't we, Josh?
Yes.
So that's going to be a bit interesting, and hopefully it's going to be quite helpful to anyone out there that is considering or thinking of coming out. But until then, without further ado, let's crack on with the show. Let's start with the news. Our news roundup this week is going to be a particular article that has drawn our attention this week over something that's happened. The news broke last week. It broke on the 19th of March, and we think it's so important that we think that this should cover our news roundup for this episode. And it's the news about Hungary passing a law banning pride marches held by the LGBTQ plus community. It has sparked outrage in and out of the country. Their parliament voted for the measure just a day after the bill was submitted on Monday, in a process that has been fast-tracked by the ruling right-wing Fidesz party under Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Orban has praised the legislation, which bans the event on alleged grounds it is harmful to children, saying, "We won't let woke ideology endanger our kids." Now, there's that word again, woke. And again, it's being misused so many times, time and time again. I mean, what are your thoughts on this story, Josh?
Well, I googled this Victor person because I've never heard of them before.
Mm,
And the first picture that comes up, I thought it was Trump because
really?
he's the same colour, orange. He even had a red tie on.
Oh, God. Did he even have
But
the wig?
it could have been, actually, I think he doesn't have any hair, or it's very little hair. I can't remember. But they all seem to be turning orange. Anyone who starts to turn orange, keep an eye on them because they seem to be fascists. That's how you spot them.
Is it fake tan or is it
It's probably all the toxicity leaking out of them, isn't it?
the radioactivity?
But they say anyway, they say it's to do with protecting children. It's not, it's just fascism. That's what it
Mm,
is.
yeah,
It's just
100%.
complete fascism, and they're just hiding behind protecting children. When all these people that seem to scream the loudest about protecting all these kids from us lately, every other week, actually every week, they're actually being found to be paedophiles themselves.
Mm.
So, as I always say, the ones that scream the loudest usually are the ones that have the most to hide.
Yeah, I mean, just in fact, you just reminded me, just as a side note, and I don't want to detract too much from the article that we're discussing, but just as a side issue or a side point, um, Ofcom recently confirmed that they're actually investigating GB News over the news reporter that aligned or he likened LGBTQ plus folk to pedos. So the good thing is they are now being investigated. They've launched an investigation into that. But I thought I'd mention that as a side note because you just reminded me about the talk of people likening LGBTQ plus people to paedophiles. But back to this story. Um, it's I mean, Pride March has been held for the past 30 years in Hungary, and this has been the latest measure from Orban's government targeting Hungary's LGBTQ plus community. Because in 2020, the country abolished its legal recognition of transgender people, and in 2021, politicians passed a law banning the depiction of homosexuality to under 18. So again, it's all going down this route of their claim that it's protecting children, and it isn't. If anything, it's going to be more harmful because you've got your LGBTQ plus kids that are growing up. and they have not got any point of reference. They've got no kind of support out there, and anyone that is willing to give that support to them is then targeted and seen as either a paedophile, they're seen as grooming them, which isn't the case, or they get into trouble because they are sharing or showing information around homosexuality, and it's just wrong. But it really, really frustrates me. I've said this so many times before when people, particularly people in power, like this Viktor Orban, use the term woke as if it's a bad thing, and it can never, never, ever be a bad thing.
And we knew they'd bring up the word woke. Any chance they get, woke. Everything's woke. But I don't know if you saw it, but I did see that in their, is it called a parliament in Hungary? Whatever their government
Yes,
building is.
yes,
I think during the vote when it went through, the opposition set off loads of flares in the chamber.
yeah. I'm actually looking at a picture of the flares that were set off, and the flares are actually pink, pink and blue. I think there's a bit of white in there as well. So they're
The
they're
trans pride flare.
clearly the colours of the trans flag. Um, but again, it's people like this that think that as soon as you put things in place to stop people being homophobic, being transphobic, they think that their freedom of speech, their freedom of expression is under attack. Yet they're stopping pride marches. They're legally banning pride marches. Well, they're legally banning the freedom of expression of anyone within the LGBTQ plus community.
Well,
And
imagine if they banned far right marches.
exactly, it'd be
That
double
wouldn't
standards.
happen. They'd be kicking off saying it's disgraceful, you can't ban us, it's freedom of speech and all this stuff, but it's
And an
okay to
attack on
ban these
democracy.
things. Didn't they also authorize using facial recognition cameras
Yes,
to
yes,
I don't know whether that's like to see who goes into pride events or who does. I'm not sure how that works, but that seems like a complete invasion of privacy as well.
yeah. It's yes. Under the terms of the new law, it's now forbidden to hold an assembly in violation of the legislation, and anyone who does faces fines of up to €500, which is the equivalent of about $545 or £420, and could include attendees and march organisers. And the police are also going to be allowed to use facial recognition technology to identify possible offenders. Now,
Definitely screaming fascism and dictatorship to me.
absolutely, and it is shocking the route that we're going down. That in these various different countries, I mean, America is. I mean, that's just sorry if, to any Americans listening, but I'm sure you'll probably agree the government over there is an absolute shit show at the moment, with Trump in charge. I really feel for minorities in the US. Um,
One positive though, pretty much all of us are going to outlive Trump, so that's something to look forward to.
yes, well, hopefully we are. I certainly intend to. Um, but interesting, you obviously mentioned that this is fascism. Um, people have been up in arms saying it's organisers of Budapest Pride have criticised the decision on social media, saying it's not child protection, it's fascism. Um, the EU's Equality Commissioner, Haja Labib, condemned the move, saying everyone should be able to be who they are, live and love freely. The right to gather peacefully is a fundamental right to be championed across the European Union. We stand with the LGBTQI community in Hungary and in all member states. So yeah, I mean, organisers
Are
vowed to.
they part of the European Union?
Um, Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
I think they are, and if they are, I think the European Union then should put some sort of sanctions or something. Surely there's some sort of human rights treaty within that this would be breaking.
Well, this I mean, I would imagine this is something that would end up getting taken to the European Court of Human Rights. Um, but yeah, I just think that um, it's absolutely appalling that yet again we are seeing an attack on our community. Um, but yeah, yeah, Hungary is in the EU. I've just quickly Googled it because I just wanted to be sure that we were spot on with that. But yeah, I would say that that is something that could get taken to the European Court of Human Rights if there's human rights violations there.
It should do, but
Um,
it is scary how quickly we are rolling backwards.
yeah,
But again, we've said it before, I blame social media and these far right news like GB News and those like literally propaganda channels.
yeah, and it's all being done
And
under the guise
there's
of
never been any checks and balances on them. And now look what we've got. We've got they can just say anything they want, and there's barely anything happens. And I know Ofcom's looking at our GB News, but I don't really have much faith in Ofcom because nothing ever really gets done about them. We've left it for so long now. They're just
this
it's
is
like a free pass.
this is the thing. I mean, GB News has been pulled up and investigated and found in breach numerous times before, and they've been sanctioned, but they've been sanctioned with fines. Well, they need, if they're continuously being found to have breached time and time again in the short time that they've been operating compared to other channels,
Should be shut down.
then surely it should be shut down. Surely, I mean, they'll turn around and say it's an attack on free speech. No, freedom of speech, as I keep saying, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. Yes, we all have freedom of speech. We can all say whatever we like, but there are laws in place that protect people who can become victim to people's freedom of speech, people's abuse that they give out. I mean, in what world does anyone want to live where they want to cry freedom of speech because they want to launch a tirade of abuse against someone and then say, well, it's my freedom of speech without having any consideration for what those words or what gets said, what impact that has on the other person? I mean, I enjoy freedom of speech, but at the same time, I don't want to say or do things that's going to hurt or upset others because that's not me. And I think if you're the sort of person that enjoys doing that, then you're a word beginning with C.
Well, that's what the
Um,
far right are like, though, aren't they? They get off on it. They
yeah.
they you can see the joy in their faces when
Mm.
the far right attack minorities. They physically really enjoy it for some reason.
I think they enjoy it more on social media where they have anonymous profiles as well because they feel that they can just say and do what they like and get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously we're talking about social media as well around attacking minorities. There was that. What's his name? I think his Twitter handle was something like Ben on Wine. He's a Waitrose employee who has tweeted some anti-trans propaganda, and he's now been sacked by Waitrose. And there are some that there's a few people that are up in arms saying it's an attack on free speech, but he's breached Waitrose's policies on behaviour of their employees. Sorry, well, in fact, no, I'm not sorry. That's a consequence of your actions. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence, and that is your consequence. You've lost your job because you're a prat.
I can guarantee though, people like J.K. Rowling and all the GCs, they'll all be saying he shouldn't be sacked for speaking the truth and all this stuff. But I've seen dozens and dozens of people have their jobs targeted and being called to be fired. And I've seen like that person that was in Waterstone, she got fired because of
Mm,
J.K. Rowling calling her out because she was pro-trans. But
mm.
when it spins around the other way, they don't like it.
No, of course
They're
they don't.
so hypocritical. They just cannot see it, and it's
They're
just
the definition of
frustrating.
hypocrisy, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're the definition of hypocrisy at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we're going to keep watching this, the developments of this issue in Hungary, because obviously we are coming up to Pride Month in a couple of months' time, I mean, we're nearly at the end of March now, and Pride Month starts in June, so we've only got April and May to get through, and then Pride Month starts. So it'll be interesting to see how this story develops and um, how they get to celebrate Pride, and celebrate being themselves and being
But
fabulous.
I bet they still will have protests and things like that. They'll defy it, but I do think we
Mm,
should remember that I genuinely believe there are more of us that are pro LGBT than there are anti LGBT people. There's
100%.
there's more of us than them, and
Yes.
that's why they're frightened because there's more of us.
And I think because they are so much more vocal than we are as well, and allies, LGBTQ plus allies, um, aren't always as vocal. That's not to say that it's a bad thing, and I can understand why they're probably not, because they don't want to get involved with things where they're going to face abuse and perhaps get pile-ons and stuff like that on social media. And I get that, and I would always say if you are going to get involved and defend minority groups that are being attacked, that's a choice for yourself, and if you're comfortable and feel that it's safe to do so. But if it isn't, then you reserve that right not to get involved. But yeah, I think we'll keep an eye on this and see how it develops, and we'll probably touch on it again um, in a few episodes' time when we get closer to Pride Month. So, what are we talking about this week in conversation, Josh? What should we
Coming
talk about?
coming out stories.
Coming out stories. We love coming out stories. I think the thing about coming out stories is everyone's is different, and not only that, when you consider everyone's is different, people get different reactions. People get good reactions. People get bad reactions because it all depends upon, um, I suppose, people's views and perceptions of LGBTQ plus people. Um, so, do you want to start with yours? Should we go with yours first?
I can do. Mine's not very eventful, I'm afraid.
Is it not?
No, it's not like some news breaking story.
So is it a bit anticlimactic?
Yes, like life in general.
Go on then. Share it.
Well,
Share with us. Share with us your coming out story.
I probably knew when I was about 14, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, well, I kind of fought against it at first because growing up during Section 28, it was quite anti-gay everything.
Yeah.
So I was very much trying not to think like that. And then I got to about 18, and then I started to think, I think this is who I am now. Still hid it until about 19, and then one day I went in the kitchen to make a cup of tea, and my dad said, "Oh, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Okay, what?"
And you
He
went, "Is
went,
it about bumming?"
"No." Actually, this might be a bit eventful. Actually,
Go on.
you know when you like haven't come out yet, and the olden days on the internet, you talk to people in chat rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, I think it was an older person, and he offered to send me a DVD.
Yeah.
Do you remember those old discs, not streaming? But anyway, he offered to send me a DVD, and effectively it was a bit like porn, but it was more of an educational, got like what things are and how you do it, and what
Educational porn. Yeah.
it was educational. No, it genuinely was an educational kind of porn thing made.
Yeah.
And he sent me that, and my dad opened it when it arrived,
And he thought to himself,
and
"I
it
don't
was
remember
just
ordering this."
no, but it was just like a disc made by them, just burned on a disc, and it was just in a see-through cover. There wasn't any
Oh, don't tell me he
nothing
played
up.
it.
He played it, um, and the first chapter of that DVD is how to eat ass. So one day my dad came upstairs because it didn't arrive, and I was like, because I was waiting for it. I need to get it before anybody else.
Probably best not using terms like "he came upstairs" when
And
when we're talking about
and then
this.
a few days later, my dad came into my room and he said, this came for you the other day,
Hang on, he
and
opened your mail.
yeah, and he said, I don't want things like this in this house, so that made me feel even more awkward, knowing that he'd watched it. And he said, but it was pretty obvious what it was because it came in like a plain brown envelope, which apparently that's what all dirty things were sent in back in the day. I didn't know this.
Oh
So
dear.
so then he gave it me anyway. So he
Yeah.
didn't take it off me. I don't know whether he watched it all. Who knows?
Maybe he wanted to see how it finished.
But then a few days later, I played it myself and
Hmm.
seeing what it started with, knowing my dad watched it, I was really embarrassed.
But you were sat there going,
Anyway,
"Oh no!"
anyway, about a month later, I jumped back to the kitchen. That's when I'm making a cup of tea, and he asks me, "Oh,
Yeah.
are you gay?" And he was sitting behind me, so my whole body just sort of froze, and I was like, "Oh my God, what do I say? What do I say?" And at the time, I'll probably say I was a bit confused because I did like girls. I'd been with a few girls, so I did like girls as well, kind of.
Yeah.
And so I ended up saying no, I'm bi because I was having connections with girls and I was attracted to some girls. But I think now I'm older, I probably think I was more attracted to the person.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am, I think. Um, so yeah, that, and then he went, okay, thanks for telling me, and then that was the end of it. And then I think he told my mum and stuff, and then I don't know what happened because I'd been hiding it for so long. After I told him, I just felt like I need to just tell everybody now.
Like you
So
opened the floodgates. A
so
bit like
I
in
don't
that
know.
DVD you watched.
Being the young teen that I am, well, I was, although I was about, I think I was probably about 19, I think, at this point. I
Hmm.
thought the best idea is going to be, I'm just going to put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I just came out on Facebook and
What
then I
did you
closed
say?
it
What did you
down.
write? Did you just say, "Hi, I'm Josh, I'm gay,"
Yeah,
or did you?
basically.
So you didn't have like a big speech or anything. Just
No,
literally just that.
just did it, out, done.
Nice.
Um,
Bold,
so that,
brave.
well, I had the whole family on there, so that was, you can imagine, because I don't think anybody else has ever come out in my family. I think I was the first that I know
Hmm.
of that came out, so it was quite a big thing for me.
Yeah.
But obviously, then after that, I did have a little bit of negativity off because, as I said, I'd been with a couple of girls. I had some of those messaging me going, "Had you been with men beforehand? Because I don't want to catch AIDS and stuff." So I actually had messages like that, but I hadn't actually been with any guys at all at this
See
point.
that? See that? I mean that I want to say that that's shocking, but I'm not surprised or shocked by those kind of reactions. And I think it all goes back to what we discussed in one of the previous episodes around um, the stigma attached to HIV and AIDS and the gay community. How it just gets likened to that because of what happened during the HIV and AIDS epidemic, many years ago. Um, but I think it just goes to show people. It still highlights people's ignorance and people's ignorance at the time, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think they were my age, and I was still young. I was only just turned 19, so I wasn't very old, and I hadn't had any education at all on the subject. And
We
neither
weren't
these,
allowed, were we?
yeah, and
Because of
these
Section
people,
28.
yeah, and these girls I've been to school with, they were my age, around my age. So
Yeah.
and the only thing we'd been told was, gay people, you get AIDS, you die. That's basically what schools taught us back then. But I hadn't been with any guys at all. I hadn't even kissed a boy yet. Um, and then a few weeks after that, got my first boyfriend. But we won't talk about them because they can
Yeah.
die in a hole. Um, and then after that disaster, it's very eventful. It is actually quite eventful, actually. I said it wasn't going to be. And then about yeah, I got rid of them anyway. And then I met
Moving
Ash,
on.
and then I got married like a year after I came out. And then I've also collected you as well. I'm collecting people as I go.
I
So
hope
now
you're
I've
going
got
to
it.
stop at me.
Yeah, I will. I can't. It's already difficult dealing with two of you. I can't deal with any more than that. It takes a lot of effort. So yeah, I think I went from hiding and not wanting to tell anybody to hello, I'm here. I now got a boyfriend. Blah, 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 and now I'm married, and now I've got another boyfriend. Well, it was quite a
Greedy.
very eventful life.
Ah,
That's
well,
why I'm
it
quite
is.
open-minded. I think because I'm very open-minded person.
Yeah. Well,
But that's my eventful story that I said wasn't eventful, and I think it was actually a
and
little bit eventful. I
I think the
should
best.
add,
I think the. Sorry. I think the best part of that story is the DVD.
I was
I think that's
mortified,
the
especially when I played
next time
it.
I see him, I'm going to have to ask him. Do you know of any good DVDs that come
No,
in
but
brown packages?
when you put it in and it loads, you know when it comes up with like all the chapter names and stuff.
Yeah. Hang on.
It,
Hang on a minute. You know you said it came in a brown envelope.
yeah,
Did it come in a jiffy?
that's do not be disgusting. Anyway, it had all the chapters on the screen, and then it had like all these naked men and penises and asses and everything all over the background
I
with
can
porn
just I
sounds.
can just imagine your dad's face.
No, but the title names as well. It was
What are the titles?
just like rimming and how to. I don't even know. I can't
How
remember.
how,
It's
how
a
to
very long
bum?
time ago.
Have you still
No, it
got
was
it?
like how to put on a condom, how to put it in an ass and stuff like that. I don't know. There's like really in-depth chapters, step by step, of what to do. But it was
Oh.
educational, so it's fine. I actually think this person I met who sent it me, I think, here's another eventful twist. I think I got their number from when I went Blackpool for my 18th off a toilet wall
Oh Lord.
or number, and then they sent it me. I think that's how it turned out.
Oh dear.
It's a very long time ago. It's like, how long ago has it been? I'm
Well,
old. I don't know.
since you were 18, about 20 years.
See, that's a long time. I can't remember all the details, but it's scorched in my mind. My dad handing me that envelope saying, I
This
think
is
this
yours.
is yours. And it's opened.
It's when you turn around and say, "No, it can't be mine. That's mum's."
It had my name on it in big black Sharpie.
So you can't really deny it.
I just went, thanks. And then opened it and saw it and then just mortified. And I didn't speak to him for about 5 days because I couldn't bear to look at him.
Yeah.
But that's my non-eventful but also eventful story.
Bless you.
Would you like to, will yours beat my eventfulness?
No, absolutely not. No,
Okay,
it
well
won't.
tell us yours then.
It won't at all. To be, well, I say it won't. Um, mine was relatively uneventful. I mean, I think like yourself, I realised when I was younger, and I knew, and because of Section 28, I wasn't able to. I didn't feel I could express myself because I had no education on it. I had no understanding around what was actually happening to me, why it was happening to me, um, and similarly to yourself, I think I approached it by saying I was bisexual, which I'm not because I'm not attracted to women or girls or anything like that. Um, I am, as far as I'm concerned, a gay man. Um, and it was a friend of mine, my former best friend, that initially came out to me. I think we were both about 15 at the time, and I remember knowing I was myself, but not fully accepting it. And so I kind of I was in a bit of shock, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to handle this because I know I am myself, but I don't feel I'm ready to say. And in my head, and I think part of the reason why I did it is because in my head, I I don't know, I suddenly saw my friend differently, and I know that sounds really bad, but it's almost like I didn't want him to be gay. because I thought this just seems for me seems to change everything. But then I said to him, and he looked at me because I was sort of silent. He said, why are you quiet? Are you, is that okay? And I just said to him, look, you're my friend, and it makes no difference to me. So that kind of gave him the reassurance. So fast forwarding, he introduced me to other friends, introduced me to nights out and places and venues to go to when we were old enough. And I hadn't completely come out then, but then I did because I felt that I needed to. And that was how I got to know other people and other friends. And I hadn't come out to my family at that point. Um, but then I was out on a night out, and there was a couple of other friends that I was with that I hadn't told yet. And one of them kept sort of looking at me and then looking over at some guys that were dancing that looked quite nice, and kept sort of giving me the nudge. And I'm like, why are you doing this? And she just sort of cornered me and went, don't worry, we know. And I'm like, no, what? And she said, we know that you're gay. And at this point, I just felt complete dread, thinking, how do you know? And I think I was a bit I was quite angry about it. And so she basically told me that my best friend, when I'd gone round and to his and poured my heart out and come out, after I left, he got straight on the phone to them and said, "You'll never guess what." And it was like the next best gossip. And I felt betrayed because coming out is always something that is personal to you. Coming out should be your choice to come out when you want to and how you want to. And when someone takes that away from you, then that becomes a problem. That becomes an issue. I mean, for some people, they might feel a bit relieved because it's almost like it takes some pressure off. But for me, it was like, I'm actually not okay with this. And gradually, me and my best friend fell out, and we've never spoken since. Not solely because of that, but other things that have gone on, they cut me off and stuff like that. And I'm like, and also when I was making friends with other people that he'd been friends with on the gay scene, for some reason he said some things. I don't know what he said, but I've only got based upon what other people have said that they've told me that he'd said they said some things about me, and they felt like they didn't want to know me because from what they'd heard I was a bad person. And so and then eventually it came out that they'd figured out he was lying, so that was it. Completely washed my hands. But fast forward to friends that I'd met through him, and there was one particular friend who was very helpful, very supportive, had obviously been through the coming out and been through a bad experience with coming out with family because of being badly treated by family, that because they didn't like the fact that he was gay. And so he offered to come round to mine when I tell my mum. He didn't. He said he wasn't going to be present, but he'd be upstairs out of the way in my bedroom, and just stay there and let me do it. So I went downstairs. Or I went to go downstairs, stopped on the stairs, came back. Went to go back downstairs again, stopped on the stairs, came back, and eventually just went down. And I told my mum. Mum burst into tears, and she was worried about, oh, you're going to hold hands in public, and you're going to. And then there was a comment of, you'd rather have sex with a man. I thought, I'm not going to discuss my sex life with you. Thank you very much. All the awkward things and the uncomfortable things. And so after a lot of tears and comforting, and actually we watched the episode of Will and Grace where Jack comes out to his mum before I went and come out. So it was almost like a preparing myself. Anyway, so yeah, that was that. She obviously wasn't happy, but she said, you're my son, I love you, and this, that, and the other. And then she said, when your dad comes home from work, you're going to have to tell him. I'm like, what? So putting me right on the spot and making me tell him. And yeah, so he came home from work and I told him, and his reaction was a lot better than my mum's. He's just like, okay, okay, great.
Your dad is very laid back though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he is 100% laid back. Um, so yeah, that was that. And then my sister, I remember us being on a night out somewhere, some village hall, and I remember getting completely drunk and then accidentally blurting it out on the table, and then she ran off and threw up in the toilet. Following the news,
Not that well then.
yeah, that went well. That went well. And I think that's pretty much it for me with sort of my coming out. I mean, they're fairly anticlimactic, but I think show different experiences. I mean, I think the thing with coming out is you never just do it the once. You're always coming out. Any new people that you meet, any new friends that you make, there's an element of coming out to them. Whether you actually physically tell them or whether they just know because of the way you are, the way you talk, without actually saying it, there's always that element. And I suppose the message for us to put out there is coming out is it's a very personal thing. It's your decision, your choice on who you come out to, when you want to come out, and if you want to come out. There are some people that don't come out because they're just happy living life the way they live life, or they're just not comfortable, or they're worried about being ostracized, cut off from family, etc. But the important thing is be you, be happy, and come out in your own time, in your own way, if that's what and how you want to do it.
And
Would
if
that be
it's
right?
safe, obviously, because we were quite lucky, I think. We're very lucky compared to some people. Some people, it is not safe to do it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why I say there are some people that won't come out because of the fear of repercussions and being ostracized and cut off. Um, and that's why it's important to make sure that you do surround yourself with like-minded people, supportive people, and people that will be there for you as and when you need it. And if there's anyone listening to this that is thinking of coming out or is worried about coming out, um, feel free to write to us, leave us a send us a message. But you know, eh, being part of the LGBTQ plus family is not a bad thing. It's not something that you need to fear or to worry about, really. You know what, Josh? For this week's complaint closet, I'm gonna have a glass of wine to go along with the whining that we're gonna do.
the puns are never ending with
I
you.
know. I love a bit of punnilingus.
I,
Um,
I can't do a pun. I'm on rum. What can my pun be?
rum.
I'm
Rum.
on rum. Nigel, give
You'll have a
me
bit
a
of
bum.
you'll have a bit of rumming.
Only on a
God,
weekend.
you know what? People are going to think we're drunk doing this, and we're not. I've not even taken a sip yet. I'm just literally sniffing the wine.
To be fair, this rum is 80% proof, so it might start burning through my table.
Okay, well that's all right then. But complaints closet, the time of the week when we get to have a little bit of a moan, a little bit of a whine whilst having wine. Um, I I quite like my one this week. Um, of what I'm going to moan about, and yeah, it's not people related, and it's not bodily functions related either.
It's a
Before you
miracle.
before you make that comment, is it going to be another bodily function? No, it's not.
Although you
My
said that
moan.
last time, and then it ended up turning around into bodily
No,
functions.
this cannot possibly turn into bodily functions.
We'll see.
Um, Well, you say that actually. I'm going to moan about bloody sharing packs.
Oh God, I hate them.
Crisps, chocolates, share bag, share size. It's not bloody share size.
Who
It's an
invented that?
individual size. It's an individual size. I mean, you know, sharing packs, they're just bigger packs. I mean, the packs of crisps that you get these days are small enough as it is. They're barely enough for a snack. Sharing packs of chocolates or buttons or whatever, or
You can have
Skittles.
2 cubes each. That's it.
Exactly. That's not a sharing pack. It might be sharing if you're just, not very hungry, but if you're not very hungry, you just get a normal pack.
Exactly. I have posted about this before, haven't I? And I've said if it has share on it, I make it my challenge that no one's having any, and I'm going to eat it all.
I don't even make it a challenge. I just eat
Because
it all.
I'm not being told what to do by a packet.
No, no, exactly. Packet of crisps, packet of chocolates. It's like a box of chocolates. I mean, okay, they're big, but I just moderate
You
myself
may
with
you
them.
may have one half of each chocolate once a month. That's one serving. Or
But no,
crisps. Like you can
I
have 2 crisps.
I bloody hate packs of food or snacks that call themselves share size. They are not share size.
And portions. Let's just say portions as well. Don't tell me how much a portion is. I will tell you when I'm full.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, that's my moment of the week, and again, yeah, it didn't turn into bodily functions. Win-win,
Really, it's a miracle.
win-win. What's yours? What do you mean it's a miracle?
Mine,
Bloody
it,
cheek.
mine is vouchers that have stupid terms on them.
You know what I thought you said?
What?
Yours is felching.
Okay, that maybe the next episode that can be my complaint.
I thought that's what you said at
But
first.
no, that's the
Vouchers.
DVD we discussed earlier.
which you've still got somewhere. Uh,
No comment. But no, vouchers with stupid terms on. Like you'll get an email and it'll say, let's just say Pizza Express because we go there all the time, and
love
it'll be
Pizza
like,
Express.
congratulations, we've got a £10 voucher for you, but you can only use it on a Friday between 1 and 1:15 on a blood moon when you're wearing the colour blue, hopping on one leg, and you can only use it to get a salad. Honestly, they wind me up. You think, oh my god, it's such a good deal, and then you look at the tiny writing that is very difficult to read because I'm basically blind as it is with my glasses, and it says you can only use it in this tiny little window that you're never available for. You can only use it on like 2 items on the whole menu.
That you
They're
don't
always
like.
they're always overpriced as well, so you're technically not saving anything.
Yeah.
And it just infuriates me, and it's everywhere. Every time you get a voucher now, it's limited on everything. It's not just like, why can't you just give me £10 off?
Here's £10 off when you spend £150 on starters.
Do you know what? Nespresso does that as well. It'll be like, here's a voucher for 23 pods. And I'm like, brilliant. Now, to get these 23 pods, you need to order this £5,000 coffee machine and order 600 pods to get £8
Bargain.
worth of free pods.
Absolute bloody bargain.
So I'm sick of vouchers. I hate them because they've always got ulterior motives and they cause me more stress.
Well, it's like when we get those vouchers that like 50% off your mains for a certain restaurant that we like going to. You know, and then it's like Monday to Thursday when,
But it
you
has
know,
to be it has to be before 5 or something.
yeah,
You can only use it on one item,
yep,
and if you don't like it, then buy. We don't care.
yeah, and it just goes to waste, and you think, well, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Or you'll visit them and have dinner there, and then as you're leaving, then you get an email with a voucher.
You know what'd be worse?
What?
Getting a voucher for a free sharer pack when you buy 4 sharer packs.
Well, we've been out for dinner before, and then the next morning we get a voucher for half price meals, and I'm like, you knew that I've just visited you last night.
Yeah,
I could have
it's
done with it then.
It's because
Why
of
did you
those
not get
loyal.
it with them?
It's because of those loyalty things. We sign up to those loyalty things, so we go, and of course it's linked to your email address because you've got an account with them, and then suddenly it's like, oh, they've just been, so let's offer them another voucher and get them back, so that we can leech them out of more money.
Yeah, but it's always got terms on it as well.
Yeah, I don't like the terms and conditions
No,
on vouchers.
we're done with terms on vouchers. They should be illegal.
That is all we've got time for on this episode of the Gaily Digest. We hope that you have enjoyed the content we've shared with you today, and we hope that we will have you back when we have our next episode coming on. So it's going to be a goodbye from me.
And me.
Thanks, Josh.
That's all you're getting. I'm tired. I've complained so much. I'm tired.
You're tired from moaning, you moany
Yes.
old bitch.
Saving my energy for the next one.
So until then, thanks for listening and stay safe and be happy.